WHO has this advice for international traffic in relation to the outbreak of the novel coronavirus 2019 or the COVID-19 with Dr. Carmen Dolea, head of IHR Secretariat at the World Health Organization. So far, the main clinical signs and symptoms reported in this outbreak include fever, difficulty in breathing, and chest radiographs showing bilateral lung infiltrates, according to the WHO. Let's take a look.
And let's start with a really most basic question people may have asking themselves. Should I cancel my travel?
No, no. So during this coronavirus outbreak, WHO has specifically said that there shouldn't be any travel or trade restrictions. This includes most places in China. The risk of being infected is low in many countries. The epicenter is still, as we know, in the Hubei province in China. Some countries, we know that they have issued quarantining of people coming home. This is usually based on a risk assessment identified by individual countries. And travelers should not really cancel their plans, but they should take into account the various restrictions that airlines have put in place when planning for their next trips. Thank you, Terry.
Is cabin environment, plane cabin, dangerous in any way?
No, absolutely not. We know that the virus so far is transmitted via droplets or fomites, which means a close contact with people that are infected and that are shedding viruses. It is possible that the virus can live on surfaces as well, but for a short amount of time. The best thing to do in a cabin is to practice proper hand hygiene, to wash hands properly with soap and water, or to use alcohol-based rub, and to use coughing etiquette, and to really keep the distance from people that are coughing or having symptoms. The masks are very effective for protecting people that are sick from preventing them to shed the virus or to transmit the virus onward. For people that are not sick, masks are not very effective. It's also important to make sure you use the mask properly and to not touch the exterior of the mask, even if you are not sick. The masks are also important for people that are caring for sick passengers, which is sick travelers or sick people.
What precautions should be taken by airport workers?
Airport workers should practice the same hygiene protection measures as for any other workers. For the moment, we know that the virus can subsist for maybe half an hour on external surfaces, but this shouldn't. There's no evidence that the virus can be transmitted by just touching the luggage of other people.
What about hotel rooms? People who are traveling, what precautions they should take when being in a hotel rooms during the travels?
As a passenger, and if somebody in your plane has been suspected of having a coronavirus, the passenger crew knows the rules, the procedures, and they would ask all the passengers sitting 2 rows behind or 2 rows ahead of these suspect cases to fill in what they call a personal locator form, which is a form where you provide your contact details in case the authorities need to contact you. If you indeed need to be contacted as if the case turns out to be positive, you would then turn to be a contact of a case, and you would need then to take precautions yourself and monitor yourself for 14 days for symptoms like fever, coughing, shortness of breath, or general fatigue.
What are the risks to cabin crew in enclosed environments? So cleaning toilets, close contacts with the passengers?
Yeah, so cabin crew should protect themselves first. If they suspect that there are cases on board, they also have to have available the necessary equipment for self-protection and the necessary equipment for protecting additional passengers. And these come into the standard procedures of IATA. Before traveling, the cabin crew should make sure that they have protection for their own personnel, as well as additional protection for people that may become sick on board. So the key message is you should not change your travel plans if you have plans to travel during this time. You should be aware of what countries have put in place in terms of restrictions and plan your trips accordingly. And you should make sure that you practice the hygiene and the hand hygiene and the respiratory hygiene as advised by WHO and by your practitioners to practice proper coughing etiquette, to wash your hands properly, and to really use the similar measures that you use for any type of respiratory disease like influenza, for example, or any other coronaviruses.